All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick's on the Power. So there's been an interesting story about Phil Heath that came out recently on an episode of a podcast called Blood, Sweat, and Gear. So if you guys want to listen to that full podcast, I'm linking it in the description below. Blood, Sweat, and Gear, episode 44, featuring the NFL Super Bowl winner, Jimmy Kennedy. So I've received a lot of DMs about this and a lot of requests to make a video about this. But I really wanted to look more deeply into this and have all the facts before I ever made a video touching on this subject, because really everything up until this point is an allegation made by Jimmy Kennedy. We don't know that anything he is saying is 100% true. But he did this podcast shortly after the 2018 Mr. Olympia. So I believe they posted it on September 20th. And shortly after posting this podcast or doing this interview about the Phil Heath situation, Jimmy Kennedy also publicly posted a bunch of screenshots of text messages with Phil, messages between him and Phil's ex-wife, all kinds of stuff trying to support what he is claiming here about Phil Heath. So if you guys don't know what the situation is, basically these screenshots are all over the internet right now. They're on every bodybuilding forum, they're on Reddit, they're on Tumblr, all that stuff. These screenshots are being shared. And I think the story now is really getting big enough that it's kind of relevant bodybuilding news now to make a video on. So essentially, what Jimmy Kennedy is claiming here is essentially he let Phil Heath wear this bracelet that he owns. And this bracelet is valued at over $100,000, according to Jimmy Kennedy. He even posted a screenshot of a recent appraisal of that bracelet, appraising it at $84,000. So according to Jimmy, he let Phil Heath wear this bracelet and just borrow it, and he was not giving the bracelet to Phil Heath. And then apparently Phil never gave it back. So in the screenshots that Jimmy Kennedy posted, there's a screenshot of a conversation that he alleges is between him and Phil basically admits that he lost the bracelet. Then Jimmy goes on to say in this podcast that him and Phil came to an agreement. He sent Phil the screenshot of the bracelet being appraised at $84,000, and they came to agreement that he would only make Phil pay for half of it. I believe he said they settled on $45,000. And this goes back to 2015 or 2016. So the agreement they came to was Phil could pay him the first $20,000 at that time. And then a year later, Phil would pay him the rest of the money, the other $25,000. So apparently, according to Jimmy again, when that time came, he posted these screenshots of sending Phil all these messages trying to get the other half of the money. And he claims that Phil never answered him. So I guess there was a whole lot of back and forth between Jimmy and Phil and lawyers. And I guess at one point, Jimmy even showed up at Phil's house with the authorities with him. And then after that, Phil had an order of protection filed against Jimmy. And there was just all this back and forth. And then fast forward to present day, apparently the situation still has not been resolved. And Jimmy claims to have still not gotten full reparations for the bracelet. And according to Jimmy, he thinks that Phil didn't actually lose the bracelet. He thinks that he sold the bracelet because Phil was talking about being in a tough place financially. Now, Jimmy did post a lot of screenshots on his Facebook page. I'm going to link his Facebook page in the description below if you want to read all of them. There's like 30 plus, pages of screenshots and various conversations. But some of them are talking about Phil's marriage, talking about his ex-wife. And I don't really want to drag that into my video. I don't want to be the one that talks about another man's marriage or a man's ex-wife. That's Phil's personal business, and I don't want to be the one that speaks on that. But Jimmy Kennedy did speak on it, and he did put some screenshots out there relating to those things if you guys want to get a bigger picture of the story. But apparently, I guess this is a story that nobody really knew before up until now. But I guess with the 2018 Olympia, when Phil Heath finally lost, I guess all of a sudden Jimmy Kennedy came out and, made all this stuff public because he said, he felt that he had been screwed. He never got, his money, and he felt that Phil Heath losing the Olympia was karma for what he had did to Jimmy. So that's why all this started to come out, relatively recently. So I'm not really going to give my opinion on whether or not it's true. Personally, Phil Heath has won the Olympia for 7 years. He's been winning $500,000 just from Olympia prize money 7 years in a row. Do I think that Phil Heath would need to steal a $100,000 bracelet and sell it for money? I don't know, man. I don't really think Phil's broke like that, but again, Jimmy Kennedy did post a lot of things that supposedly support what he's saying, so I will link all that in the description box below. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Nick's Strength and Power, signing out.